So, mate, we're here in Bahrain, big end of the year this year already, and you're over here, but walk me through it. How was that 70.3?
Yeah, it was actually, it was planned to do those two races at the end of the year. Yourself, have you done Noosa before?
Yeah, done Noosa, great race.
Yeah, so like everyone was, talking about Noosa, you got to come do it. And I'm like, well, it works out perfectly because it's a week before the 70.3 in Melbourne. And I was like, well, it's a good opportunity for me to test out the TT bike as I just came from Dusseldorf with Team Canyon, did a few days of testing, and then from there was able to first time try it out in a race. So ticked off Noosa, started off there, a course record, first time there, so that was cool.
What did you think of Noosa?
Oh, it was awesome. I was there for 2 weeks, and they just kind of take you under your wing and you become part of the family there. Belinda was there, Luke from Wind Republic, and all the team there, and joined JR because when you're in Noosa, you got to go and join JR for a swim. Found my spot in that group, and then they just kind of, the vibe there is just crazy, and I guess when you say like you get up at 5 a.m, it's just the norm, which there it is because the sun comes up early, the birds are chirping, and you get up at 5, and then everything's like hustle and bustle there at 5.
Yeah. Then is it a race you knew much about, Noosa?
When I was a kid, some of the shoes I used to wear was like the Noosa Tri shoes. Yeah, they were fluoro shoes, and I was like, what is this place? And everyone was talking about it, and my partner Hannah always wanted to do it, so it was a perfect opportunity for us to go over there and race. And the crowds were amazing, and it was really, really nice to get, I guess, some a non-drafting race under my belt before Melbourne, and it gave me a bit more confidence to know what I could push on the bike in a TT position. So led on to Melbourne, really, really nice, and
you killed that one.
I was stoked. I was a bit gutted because the swim was cancelled a little. It was halved.
But your bike and run were you look like you never got out of second gear. You look very comfortable.
Yeah, I was talking to my coach, and I was like, the last 10K, I was like, had a couple songs in my head just to kind of pass the time because it just felt that good. I was really happy. My plan was to try and get a gap in the water, which I did. Get on the bike and push the first half hard, and to get the boys to chase me, and then if they chase me, attack again. And I turned around at the first quarter point at the 21.5K, and I looked back and I was nearly about a minute and a half in front. So I was like, well, I'm pushing the watts that I wanted to push in this race. And I've put time on it, which was great, and I just put my head down, and I knew at the halfway mark I was more or less on that sub 2 hours. And I actually came back home, so the second half of my ride was actually faster than my first half, which was really, really nice to know. So came in at a 150, just under a 156 high, which was cool. And then on the run...
How were the legs? Were you concerned about the distance going in, or not at all?
I was concerned because I did Collins Cup ages ago, but I was sick 2 weeks before, and I was in bed, bedridden for a week in Girona, and I was a bit concerned. I was like, I hit 60K in Collins, and I was like, oh no, I don't feel good, but I guess that was me being 8 days on a TT bike, having a pretty average position, and just having quite a compressed kind of hip angle. So I was actually hitting way more watts in Melbourne than I was in Collins, and it just felt fine. But
no fatigue from this?
No, I thought there was going to be, because ideally I pushed really hard on the bike to get a gap, which I did, but then I just messed up transition. Because they were actually 5 minutes in front of ETA in Noosa. So I racked my bike, put my shoes on and stuff, and I got kind of in the middle of this pack of 10 guys coming out of the water, and then they thought I was a part of that group, and then they channeled me to the back half of the transitions, because the transition's massive, and I was meant to go over the bridge. And I completely missed the funnel of the bridge, and I turned around and I was about 100 metres behind it. So I sprinted through and jumped over the fence. I was like, oh, sweet, here's Matty. I was like, there goes my minute gap on him. And then, so first 2K pushed pretty hard, but we didn't run relatively fast, but because I think the bike was pretty hot. So running, I think heading into Melbourne, ideally I would have liked to have a decent gap, and coming off the bike at over 4.5 minutes, and I wanted to make at least 14K of the race pretty solid on the running side. So, going through at 303, 305 pace, and then from there just cooled it off because you just, I don't know, racing Olympic distance and racing half are just two completely different things. Like, I could have definitely gone out there and run like a 29 sub on that, but then I went out at 3:03 pace, but it felt like the same effort as I was going as a 29. And I just hit 15k, and I just hadn't done the work for the tempo stuff, so I actually did start to feel it quite a bit.
Where were you feeling that? Leg fatigue, or was it
it was just pure leg fatigue because I just hadn't done the work and the tempos. Like, it's running fast, but then running tempo, like running that 3 or 5 for me personally was just uncomfortable because I'm normally, you're either running 15 seconds per k faster, or you're running your long runs
a bit way slower.
You're way slower. So I've never really worked that in between area. So that was an interesting thing for me to work out in the race, where going to Taupo next year, that's something that I can work on, is just working that like middle ground tempo a little bit more, because I definitely felt that I was lacking that, and it was a big season as well. So there was that accumulative fatigue throughout the whole year. So I went into that race probably knowing that I wasn't 100% on the run, but like to do a 108 and to ease off, and I didn't realise it was the third fastest of 70.3 run, and it's not really a fast course because there's all turn tights and up and downs, and a continuous side wind in Melbourne as well. So like weather-wise, it was a great day for it, and I was kind of gutted that the swim was kind of cancelled to half, because that means you can't go up for the course record, which was a bit of a shame. So it would have been nice to do 2 weeks of racing and get two course records. So I'll have to go back next year and do it. So
So your takeaway, because you've definitely had tongues wagging. I was just in South Africa. I was with Jamie Riddle, and they were all talking about that performance in Melbourne, like the 70.3, and knowing that the World Championships will be in New Zealand at home in Taupo, as you guys say.
Just around the corner from you.
Do you feel you've, if you're looking at that race, do you feel like you've got the Arsenal post-Olympic Games to win it? You're definitely going there to win, but if you are looking at win, who are the other athletes you're looking at?
Yeah, I think it's great for me to get that qualifier done with, because now I don't have to worry about it through the whole year. So now I'm just completely focused on Paris. But then we've got like a big 4 or 5 month block that we can just purely train on TT. Like, of course I'm going to go out once a week, and when I'm in Andorra, and do trainings, because I do enjoy on the TT bike, and it's just something a little bit different to keep the mind a little bit more stimulated through a big block towards Paris. But after Paris, you have this like big block that you can really just focus on those, as we're talking about the longer tempos, the higher power on the TT bike, which I feel quite comfortable pushing. But I feel like if you look at the PTO races, well, especially how I've viewed them, the rides have been overridden, and I think that's just the game at the moment, is you have to swim at the front group, you got to override, and you just hope you've got the legs to hang on essentially. So there's going to be some big influences like the Cole Smiths, the Martin Van Riels, whoever's up the front, Gustav, if he comes, gets back into shape, and as you see, Christian as well. So I think everyone's going to be quite hungry to race.
Those roads, you think they'll like them?
Exactly. Like, it's like, I've been back in New Zealand for the last 4 weeks, and I've just got back into training a couple of weeks ago, and you just forget how much those roads actually fatigue your legs. Like, I went out for a 2-hour ride, and I was completely cooked after 90 minutes, because it's just the hardship where you go into like a European road, it's just this smooth, fast pavement, and you go to New Zealand, it's just like this heavy chip, and it just the vibrations are just something else that you can't really train for, other than being in a place like New Zealand. So I think it's quite crucial to get home a little bit earlier, and get on those roads around Taupo, and kind of get the legs feeling into the course, because it is going to be a big factor. I think it's not going to be a fast race, but it's going to be whoever's got the strength to hold off on the run. And again, like, the run's not flat at all. Like, it's going to probably be a side wind or a headwind, and it's just up and goes like down, then up, then down, and then you do that twice. So it's going to be an interesting course.
A home race for you. I think the only 70.3 world champion for New Zealand is Terenzo.
Member of the team. Yeah.
It'd be nice to win that one. If you had a perfect year next year, I think in my head, I think everyone knows what it would be, obviously with Paris, but is that 70.3 world title definitely one you want to add to the resume? Yeah,
I think so. Like, I was born in Taupo, and it'd be nice to go home back to New Zealand and race that race, because I think, we've got quite a rich culture in triathlon with the Bevan Dohertys, the Terenzos, and the Hamish Carters. So it'd be nice to go to New Zealand and
Win at home.
Yeah, win at home. It'll be great. So I'd love to kind of, that'll just be a great box ticket at the end of the year. If everything goes well in Paris and get that podium slot and have that morale coming in to New Zealand would be epic. And I've kind of been like toying up the idea as well of doing exterior world champs.
Oh, wow.
I'll be fit and healthy anyway, and I did it in Tokyo as well. When I did Tokyo, then exterior, so it'd be kind of cool to do the triple where you go Paris, and then you head to exterior, which will be in Italy this year, and then you can just veer off and head to New Zealand for the 70.3. So go for the treble, which would be a pretty cool experience. Three different disciplines.
Yeah, hypothetically, as a guy who's been watching you since you first came across the Super League as a young punk and sprinted Mario Mola there in Jersey and watched your progression through the Olympics, let's say you were to win the Olympics in Paris, gold medal. The Kiwis do well in the relay. I don't care how that goes for you, but and you were to win 70.3 Worlds. Would Hayden be looking at going across to LA, or would LA be a focus, or would there be definitely a consideration on focusing or moving up in distance and testing yourself at even the longer one in the Ironman?
Yeah, I think I've told myself, I would say if it was the correct colour that I'd like to go for, if it was the gold medal, I don't know if I would go back. Yeah. Like I feel there's just, once you get the Olympic medal, and I think the only thing that will hold me back is getting a world triathlon title. Yep. And once you get the world triathlon title and the colour, I don't think I'll go to LA. I don't know, like I enjoy the long course stuff. I love the non-drafting stuff, but I also love Super League. So if I can exit out of world triathlon and be satisfied with like an Olympic gold medal, a world title, for me personally, I don't think there's anything else to gain there. So I'd love to just go and do my own thing and enjoy the sport. As that's when I first came. In 2018 when you first saw me in Edmonton. It was when I still really loved and enjoyed the sport, and I still do. But I want to do even more to enjoy it. So dabble in the PTO or the 70.3 stuff, as I enjoy that 70.3, but then also come back to the short course racing, still continue Super League, I think it's just really enjoyable. And as you saw the last 3-4 years, it's like the calendars are just huge now. It's so hard to fit everything in. So if I could do the stuff that I really, really enjoy, it would be like the Super League stuff, like keeping it super short and fast and exciting, and then progress probably into the long course stuff. I don't think Ironman is set for me yet, because
I thought being a Taupo boy you might be
no.
It's sort of one of those things you have to do.
I definitely see myself doing Ironman, but I don't see myself doing it in the next 3 years at least. I just as I said, I remember having a yarn with yourself and MG, and don't go on it too early. You're gonna be a big mistake because you lose your speed and your finesse. So that's why I really just want to continue doing Super League and maybe dabbling a little bit more longer stuff, because I just really enjoy the racing. So Ironman not yet, but I think definitely in the future I'd love to go and do a Kona and definitely go and win a Kona. So it's definitely on the cards for sure.
What was your best performance in 2023 and why?
I think actually probably in Hamburg it was the first. So it was the 2023. It was the first Super Sprint World Championships. So it goes right down into my into my kind of my alleyway where I enjoy short course racing. So the Hamburg was the first time it was that Super Sprint kind of format, kind of like Super League. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is like right down my alleyway. And it was, as I said, it was the first time it was a world championship title. So I think just how I executed the race, and probably the first round I was in a little bit of panic because it didn't go well for me. But the way I kind of mentally reset and was like, all right, let's focus on the next round, and did the little things a little bit better. And then the last round, how I executed the little things, the only way I won that race, you still had to run away from everyone and keep away, but doing the transition that I did was 3 seconds faster than anyone else, and I kept that 3 seconds away. It was just doing the little things correctly, which Super League taught me to then implement into that race, which then gained me a world title in short course racing. Was a pretty nice feeling. But yeah, there was definitely a few successes in the, I guess, 23 season, but I think getting my first IC World Triathlon World title was a pretty cool thing.
And this year's Super League, it was a tough year. Being part of that team, what's that like? The new team dynamic in Super League and being part of those Scorpions, the Bahrain Victoria Scorpions.
Yeah, no, I think it's really nice. Like watching, listening to the stats at the end of in Neom saying that I'm probably the most decorated Super League athlete, because I started from the beginning and really haven't missed one since I started, as a pretty cool honour and thing. But to watch the progression of how it's gone from being so individualed from the start, but now having such a team aspect in it, I think it's really cool. It's innovative, and I really enjoy that. So being part of, I guess, the Scorpions this year, there's a lot of mana behind that with the teams won it before. The team itself, just out of Super League, has had some massive world champions and the best in the world. And I think coming into every race, you kind of feel that pressure of keeping it. We want to be victorious in every race. So I think it kind of keeps us on the pump, and I really thrive under that pressure, and I really enjoy being in the team. With yourself obviously being one of the captains in charge, and MG, I've known you guys since the start, so it was actually really cool to kind of get behind, and just being in the calibre of that team. Unfortunately, Vince couldn't start and GDB couldn't start, but Vince is one of the guys that I've always looked up to in Super League because he's such a powerhouse in the swim, bike and run, and probably is one of the best guys that's ever done it in Super League. And to be in a team like that is a pretty cool feeling. And this season for us was definitely an up and down one. We didn't have a great start at London.
We lost you in London.
Exactly, we lost me in London.
Kassan
Kassan was there, I wasn't there, Vince wasn't there, GDB wasn't there. So we lost the I guess our power players. But the team did extremely well to kind of hold it together for us in London, and then to lose. There was probably myself as well, where the crowds were amazing and there was just so much stuff going on, and it was my first Super League race in a year, so there was probably a little bit of complacency and a little bit of just not being on the ball as I normally am, and I think I got tricked in some ways where Leo was looking at me in the eye. I was like, is it our last lap or isn't it a last lap? And that kind of really threw me off. And that's when the mistake got made, and still kind of scavenged a pretty decent position, but we got some good points. But then we went into Malibu, we got the win, got the double win there, which was really nice. And then heading to Saudi, I went into that. Shoot. Yes, I know, right? It was I think it was that core of the moment where Henry was in a position where we could have, if he got into a good position, he could have got that podium as well.
But how is that? Because I know a lot of people at home watch it and dealing with a lot of the young athletes now and talking about Super League, and they all aspire to do it. But how is it with that manager-athlete relationship where a lot of that short shoot is allocated now by MG and it can affect your race? Is it, in that case in Neon, when you didn't get the short shoot, does it blow the head apart, or is it? I don't think it mentally blows the head apart. I saw that I didn't have a short shoot. I actually didn't realise that Leo had one, so it would have been great to get it. But I went into Neon probably not 100%, coming off a cold after Malibu, and I think a lot of athletes were coming off colds after Malibu. So I knew if he had any sort of, I guess advantage on me, it was going to be extremely hard to catch. And he had a good transition, and he popped out extremely fast. And I tried to chase him down, not super quick, but I was gaining back onto him. And then, I think my lungs just gave up in some ways. But, Leo raced an extremely smart race. And it seems like you two this year were the...
Yeah, it was honest.
It was like...
Yeah, it actually worked so well for me as well, because I finally had someone that I could work with on the bike. Yeah. And having that guy, you saw it in Toulouse, we just broke away from everyone, and we had a good 20-second lead, and that was because I had Leo with me. And same thing happened in Neom as well. Seth got on with us, but at the end of the day, it was just Leo and I battling it out with a good 30-second lead. So it was actually great to have Leo back in the race, and I feel, he's a little bit more of a better swimmer than me for sure, but our strength and bikes are very similar, and I probably might outdo him on the run when I'm in form. So we kind of worked together because he would catch me up a little bit in the swim, and then we'd bike together, and I'd probably get a little bit of a gap on the run. So it was a great dynamic through the whole season, and I really enjoyed having him there. And it kind of worked into my favour in some ways too, because their bike was just like 10 times more aggressive than it would normally be, which was great.
Well, it was obvious on television calling the race, the skill level you two have.
Yeah,
the bike skills in comparison to your peers.
Yeah,
right?
well, it was like in Malibu when we had Henry, like he did a little bit of a skid and it was game over.
Yeah.
Then we got away, so it was over 3 races. We were just like neck and neck, which was was great for the show, and it was great for racing and I guess for the spectators as well. So really enjoyed him there, and hopefully he can kind of be there for the whole series next year. As I'm intending to be there again, and got to keep up that and I've got to keep up that sharp score rate with appearances. So
stay number one. But
exactly.
Of those formats, I'm just because I love when I get the athletes together and talk about it. Is it one of those formats you prefer? And if you could write the script for Super League and pick one format, what one would that be?
I think for me personally, I think triple mix works extremely well. I really enjoy triple mix because it kind of puts the swim in different areas, and I feel I swim way better when I'm by myself and I'm fatigued. I found like it was in Toulouse and in Malibu. It was like I know Malibu isn't a triple mix, but essentially it is like swim bike run. You get the same amount of rest, but you get that kind of advantage where you can really attack. So, but triple mix for me, I really enjoy it because you can kind of move the swim a bit around. So your weaknesses is here. Sometimes it's not always at the start, so you're not playing catch up. So you can really be aggressive when you click off the gun and it's actually a run at the start, or when you hit it and it's the bike at the start. So you can really use your strengths inside the race and try and get away at a different opportunity. And as I said, I feel like I swim 100 times better when I'm by myself, or I'm a little bit more fatigued. Like in I think London last year, there's no chance ever I'll be able to stay with Matt, but in London I was right beside his hip the whole way around, but in a straight shoot off I'd never be with him, so it just shows that I just perform a little bit better under fatigue. And so I feel like if it was just like triple mix, I'd feel like that'd be pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, but nothing like an enduro to keep you honest.
Those enduro, for me, watching the enduros are definitely the most.
Because you get the young guns.
Fatigue.
Yeah,
you get the young guys coming out in that first race, and then the blow-ups are amazing. But and if being in that series, is there anyone that's not racing it at the moment who's a new Hayden Wilde, a young athlete? I see that Brazilian Hildago, is it? He seems to be doing quite well. And is there anyone you're looking at, I guess, going into Paris and beyond Paris, who's not racing Super League or has a lot of talent that could potentially dethrone you as you start to age out? Yeah,
it's hard to know, because I feel like that era of the Alex and Leo and myself and Maddie, we're kind of in that era at the moment, and I feel like the juniors that are coming up are still in the junior area, and we haven't seen too much of that next step yet. So I think in maybe a year or two we'll see those athletes that will be extremely dangerous in the junior level. But I feel like if you step back behind and you look at French Grand Prix, it's a great opportunity to see what's coming through, because there's a lot of juniors that race French Grand Prix that get the experience that they can't get in World Triathlon because they can't get the starts. So I think even not just French athletes, but European athletes, they always go to French Grand Prix. So I feel like if you're going to find that next Hayden Wilde or that next Alex or Leo, you're going to find it in French Grand Prix before I think you see it in World Triathlon, or but you see it before Super League, because I feel like that's where you kind of find, that's where you headhunt, I feel, because you go in there and you see all these juniors and they're just loving it, And
who is this kid?
So it's great. There's so many athletes I've never seen in my life that is hitting it out the front in French Grand Prix, and it's really cool to see. But I guess I haven't watched too much of the junior stuff lately, but I think there's there's a few kind of Portuguese kids that are coming through, like Batista's brother, I think. He's gone pretty well. He's still young, and just be interesting to see what sort of crop pops up, because ideally we want more people at the front kicking our asses, because it keeps us honest, but also makes the racing more exciting for everyone else.